I sit here and I think about everything that's been going on this past week. Last night, I probably had one of the greatest shows in the history of all of sports entertainment. PWF's very first pay-per-view, PWF Breakdown. And what happened? We had some tremendous matches. We had more recognition and more views and more ratings on this single pay-per-view than all of PCW. Except for the times that James Taylor's on board, of course. But that's another story. See, I just had the biggest twist happen in the history of sports entertainment, and none of you saw it coming. I've been working with Peter Richards since day one, since he got here with the little stick up his ass that he had at that time because he was so green, telling me I should step aside or follow him, when in all reality, it was him following my lead because me and him come up with the master plan to execute every single thing that we were going to do. I became the PCW Superstar of the Year for the year 2020. I became a Feud of the Year with Peter Richards. We stole the show every single night that we were in that ring, that we're on the same show. Hey, you hear what Peter Richards is doing? Do you hear what James Taylor's doing? No, we're not hearing about Drake the True Snake. No, we're not hearing about Draquan, the Smoke Factors, whatever the hell you want to call them. The Elite Operatives was all part of my plan. So that way I could use them as my stepping stone to once again become the PCW National World Heavyweight Champion. And Peter Richards was my one ticket to have as my star power to run PWF. He is the head guy for Premier Wrestling Federation. The Leech was a worthy adversary. He was a worthy man in that steel cage against me last night. But I still proved him wrong when I beat his ass in the middle of that ring. 1, 2, 3. He was a good champion. That he was. And he's going to go on to do greater and greater things. Yorkshire Center. You're so green, kid. You're good. You got so much talent. You're only 19, 20 years old, and your career can skyrocket. But you weren't there just yet. You're kind of like what, a young champion in the past before he actually got his real second run with a world title. And that was like, what, Randy Orton? Yeah, he had it. He kept it for about a month. And then he lost it right back to the biggest dog in the house, and that was Triple H. And then we didn't hear of Randy Orton getting another world title for another 2 to 3 years. That's going to be your case, Center, because you still need to be molded. But, unfortunately, I just found out the news that you decided to join the Elite Operatives. The entire faction that the Nemesis James Taylor created, and you decided to join that. Is that like your little ace in the hole? Was that the card up your sleeve that you had? Because I came into that ring last night and stunned you right out of your ass. So that way franchise could get the pin over you 1, 2, 3. And now he is the PWF World's Heavyweight Champion. And there's nothing that you could do about it. Sure, you got your rematch clause, but all of a sudden you want to target a guy from the Enders, Zach Storm. Is that it? Because all of a sudden you need to prove yourself to somebody? Are you too scared to cash in that rematch clause because you know that you will get your ass handed to you? MMA background or not, I've proven to you and Buddha, the Enlightened One, my number one contender to this championship. You just signed a guy to a faction that I've beaten the hell out of and put in the hospital. You really think that PCW is going to be done for? Do you think people in PWF are going to be done for? Nuh-uh. Not one bit. So, I'll leave it at this. I will see you at PCW Mania. And after PCW Mania, I'm not held accountable for what happens to PCW. But PWF will skyrocket to the top. And that's because there can't be no other way.